Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV, and I'm the editor here at MetaStellar. We had quite a few people helping out today with the reviews of the top 10 free sci-fi and fantasy books on Amazon. Unfortunately, none of them can make the taping today, so it's going to be just me this afternoon. So, hey, everybody. The link to the full article is going to be in the description box below. So the way this works is we read the first chapter or two or three of the top 10 free speculative fiction books on Amazon. And we have today some cozy magical mysteries, epic fantasies, dystopian futures, a lot of young adult stories, and space battles. I always love the space battles. For those who are new to our channel, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free for our readers. We publish original short fiction as well as reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews. And we are able to do this thanks to the kind support of the Patreon community. So thanks, you guys. And the links to that is below as well. So let's get into the books. The first book here is Sojourn by Jana Oliver, the first of 3 books in the Time Rovers Time Travel Mystery series. The other books are $4 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. So one of our writers, Noreen Brenner, read the first chapter of the book and says it held her interest. It's well written and exciting. Jacinda Lassiter is the time rover. She's on a mission to Pompeii right before the volcano erupts, and she barely escapes with her life, and then she goes to Victorian England to look for a missing time tourist. And so the background here is the Whitechapel murders, the Jack the Ripper murders, and there's romance, mystery, and the paranormal. And Noreen says that the book really makes you feel as if you're going back in time to that period, and she gives it a great review. And she thinks it's great for anybody who loves the combination of reading a thriller or a mystery, historical fiction, romance, and science fiction all in one book. Next on our list is Angels Rising by Harriet Carlton, the first of 4 books in the Angels Rising young adult urban fantasy series. The other books are a couple of bucks each. They're not in Kindle Unlimited. So I read this one. It's a young adult story. If you guys have been watching these, you know I hate young adults, and it takes a lot to pull me into a young adult story. And unfortunately, this book wasn't it. But for people who do like young adult stories, and there's a lot of you guys out there, check this out. It's very readable. And it starts out with a mysterious wingman sneaking into a baby's nursery, touching the baby on the forehead, and disappearing. And then we start out with 17-year-old Imarian Franson. He's running late for school. He's applying for colleges. He's got bright white hair, so I think he might be the person who was the baby that was touched. He's up for a scholarship, and it's a full ride. It requires volunteer work, limits the colleges that he can apply to, and there's a long application where he doesn't read the fine print. So I'm guessing here, because I'm not going to keep reading. I'm guessing that there's angels involved. There's something weird about the scholarship, that there's something weird about him, but it doesn't really, it starts out really slowly, and it doesn't really catch my attention. And the main character isn't really compelling enough for me to keep going. And so I'm not going to stick with it. I am going to stick with the next book, which I also read, Freaky Florida by Ward Parker. And this is actually a box set of the first 3 of 7 books in the Freaky Florida Urban Fantasy series. The other books are $4 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited, which I love because Kindle Unlimited, $10 a month. You read all the books you want. I'm a big fan because I read a lot of books. And cozy paranormal mysteries are one of my favorite genres. And if they're also funny, oh, that's fantastic. So I've got really high hopes for the book. And so it did not disappoint me. It starts out with Missy Mendel, a home health care nurse who does basic care for senior citizens. And she's in Florida, and those senior citizens include vampires, werewolves, and other magical folk. And so her first visit is to Leonard Schwartz, a vampire, and he's overweight despite being on an all-liquid diet. And vampires don't like to be lectured on their eating habits, and it's going to be kind of tricky to get them to turn over blood and urine samples. Very funny. I love the world building here. I love the beginning, and I think I'll definitely be reading these books this weekend. I can use a fun break right about now. Next is a book called Qualify by Vera Nazarian. The first of 4 books in the Atlantis Grail young adult sci-fi series. The other books are $7 to $8 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And Noreen Brenner read this book. And so the basic idea here is that Earth's about to be destroyed by an asteroid. There's people from Atlantis who show up. They've been living on some of the planet, and they've got some spaceships, and they can rescue people before the planet blows up. But they can only take a few people. So to decide who they're going to take, they're going to have a contest. And the contest is for teenagers because for some reason they're only going to take teenagers. And the top 10 winners of this contest can also take their other family members. So it's literally a contest to the death. And she thinks that the premise is interesting. And she's curious about whether all of humanity is going to end up saved or just the small group of teenagers who win the contest. And she gives the novel a 6 out of 10. Next is a book that is actually carried over from last week. So people apparently really love this book, Balanced Scales by Laura Greenwood, the first of 6 books in the Untold Tales fantasy series. The other books are $4 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. So I'm not a target audience for this book because I don't like retellings of classic fairy tales. But one thing I love about this book, and it's about a mermaid, is that she doesn't get legs in order to pursue this guy who she met once. She gets legs in order to do like a real quest. She wants to get her soul back. So I like that aspect of it. She's not giving up everything for just a random dude she just met. And people love this book. And I have to say, it reads well, and the story moves along quickly. But it's not my kind of story. So it's not really pulling me in, but you might love it. Next, we have a book called Pattern Black by Sean Platt and Johnny B. Truant. It's a standalone novel. Both of the authors have lots of other sci-fi books up on Amazon. And Johnny Truant in particular is the best-selling author of the Fat Vampire books, which are going to be a Sci-Fi Channel series this year, starring Spider-Man's Jacob Batalon. So that's pretty cool. Pattern Black is a psychological thriller, and Nick Nabertovsky read this, and so did Alex Korolov. Everybody wanted to read this book. It's set in a dystopian future. Is it dystopian future? Yeah, it's set in a futuristic prison. A cop has thrown away his career by committing a crime. He ends up in this futuristic prison. No hope of parole, but there is a chance for him to get out if he gets something called chamber therapy. It can cure you of your criminal tendencies, but if it fails, you go insane. So both of the readers say that it's fast-paced, and it's if for people who are into sci-fi, cyberpunk, or noir detective novels. And Alex liked it. He got involved. He said the book starts right with a heist, and it made him want to keep reading the book, and he plans to. Nick, not so much. He was a little confused about everything that was starting out, and he says you might want to spend a little bit, give yourself some extra time to figure out what's going on, and go back and reread if you have to. So, so there you go. 2 different reviews of that book. Next, Valor by Josh Hayes. Nick also read this one. This is the box set of all 3 books in the Valor series, which was nominated for Dragon Award. And Nick himself writes military science fiction, so I guess he gravitated straight to this series, and he likes it. It was easy to read. He said a page turner that's has the kind of feel of the Jack Reacher novels, or the aesthetic of the last Blade Runner movie. And he says it's a heck of a deal. So you start out in a small pub with some greasy characters that is reminiscent of Mos Eisley, but make it look like a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Nick says. And the combination is of the main character is a combo of a hard-boiled cop and a soldier of fortune. He says it's like kind of like Dirty Harry with a little bit of training. The book starts right out with the action, and you really feel what's going on. And so I like the sound of this book too. That's the kind of thing that I would like to read. So I'm looking forward to checking this book out once I finish those Florida vampire mysteries. Next, we have Fledgling by C.F. Welburn, the first of 5 books in the Ashen Levels fantasy series. And Amira Lutfi read this one, and she was expecting it to be an epic fantasy like The Lord of the Rings, but she was a little disappointed after she got started. She said it reminds her more of the book The Never-Ending Story, and the writing style is full of riddles and ambiguity, and she's not really interested or invested enough to keep reading. So it starts out with Balaguer, who wakes up by a campfire with 2 mysterious cloaked figures who tease him because he has amnesia. He's got no idea where he is or what's going on, and he's forced to take an oath to be bound to one of the strangers, and now has to go to some town. And it's so I can see why she's confused about it, but it's the cover looks pretty cool. All right, next we have The Chronicles of David Welsh by D.G. Palmer, and I'm the one who read this one. It's another young adult book. Again, young adult, not for me. And it starts out with David Welsh. He's living in the modern world, and he's being bullied, and he's shy and awkward around girls. And then this girl, Trinity Evergreen, shows up, a fellow classmate. Except that in a prologue, we saw her being created by a wizard in order to track down Daniel and people like him. So she befriends him, and she kind of entices him to come to another magical world where he could study at a mage academy because he's got some magical abilities. and he'd have to like leave Earth and go to this other world. It's a readable book, but not quite my kind of thing. But if you like it, you get all 3 books in this box set for free. And finally, we have the Carnelian, the first of 4 books in the Gemstone Chronicles children's fantasy series. And the other books are $3 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And here, Amira read this book, and she finds it to be a little of like a children's book. And it moves a little slowly. It's cute and cozy. It has this happy family in it. And but the plot takes quite a while to get started. So she doesn't think that she's going to keep reading this book. So the story is about this family, Aiden, his little sister Maggie, and their grandpa, that go out on a 4-wheeler to look for special rocks, and they find some fairy rocks, one of which looks particularly old. And when they get home later that night, this glowing blue figure floats above his little sister's bed, and it wants the family to do it a favor. So that's kind of intriguing. And so check this out. And all the links to all these books are going to be in the description box below, as well as links to all our previous Free Friday posts. If you have any other books for us to check out that you want us to read, drop a line, comment below, and tell us if you've read any of these books and what you think about them. And also, I want to tell you guys that I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their kind support. And if you like these kind of videos, hit the like button, the subscribe button, or help us out with Patreon donations. All the money that comes in goes directly to paying for original fiction for new and emerging science fiction and fantasy authors. So thank you guys. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.